My husband has a group of friends on WhatsApp called Survival Manual for Husbands. I got in by accident and saw something I will never be able to forget. My husband, Tyler, was always private with his phone, but he never gave me a reason to distrust him. He worked long hours, his phone always vibrating with work-related matters, and I had gotten used to it. Until that night. It was a Friday. We were watching television, and he fell asleep on the sofa with his phone still in his hand. I placed it on the table, but as I did, the screen lit up. There was a WhatsApp notification with the group's title in large letters, Survival Manual for Husbands. I smiled. First, I thought it was one of those groups where men share memes or complaints about married life, but something inside me, I don't know why, made me open it. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe simple instinct. That was the mistake. The group had 6 members, all men I knew, Tyler's work colleagues and a couple of friends who had been at our wedding. What I saw wasn't humor or camaraderie. It was screenshots of conversations with their wives, accompanied by comments that made me sick to my stomach. One of them had shared a photo of his wife crying with the caption, "Another drama session for checking my phone. Expert level unlocked." Another replied, "Bro, mine doesn't even know. I have another number just for dates. Manual 101. Duplicate your SIM before getting married." I stood motionless. My heart was beating so hard I could almost hear it. I scrolled up and saw older messages. Jokes about cheating, lying, and keeping the peace at home while still having fun on the side, until I got to one with my husband's name, Tyler. He had written 3 days earlier, Rule number 7 of the manual. Never use a new cologne without a believable story behind it. Otherwise, they get suspicious. Below it, another of his friends replied with clapping emojis. Another added, "Ty, you're the guru. Tell them about the Chicago trip." I kept reading that line over and over. The Chicago trip. That was the one he told me was for a work conference last month. He was gone for 4 days. When he came back, he had a new shirt and a different scent. I remember because I asked him if he had changed his cologne. He laughed and told me it was from the hotel. I believed him. My hands started to tremble. I didn't know whether to wake him up or pretend I hadn't seen anything. I just stared at his sleeping face, so calm, so oblivious to what was happening inside me. And then the phone vibrated again. A new message from the same group. It was from someone named Eddie. "Ty, the girl from the hotel texted you. Says she misses your voice. Cover your tracks, brother." The phone almost fell from my hand. I couldn't breathe. Everything became blurry. The image I had of my marriage shattered in seconds. I turned off the phone and left it in the same spot. I locked myself in the bathroom to avoid making any noise. I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. I didn't cry at first. I just felt a cold rage mixed with something worse, shame. How did I not see it coming? How could I have slept beside him? I didn't sleep a wink that night. When he woke up, he said in his sleepy voice, "Why are you up so early?" I told him I had insomnia. He smiled, gave me a kiss, and went to take a shower. While the water was running, I checked his phone again, but he had already deleted the chat. The Survival Manual for Husbands group was gone. It was as if it had never existed. Throughout the day, I pretended everything was normal. I went to work, smiled, answered emails, but every time my phone vibrated, my stomach clenched. I started replaying every detail of the last few months. The trips, the excuses, the calls he took outside. It all started to make a different kind of sense. That night, when Tyler fell asleep, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront him yet. First, I wanted to know who the girl from the hotel was and, more importantly, what else he was hiding. That's how my plan began. I knew that if I pressured him, he would deny everything, so I pretended that nothing had happened. I became more affectionate, calmer, as if I were genuinely happy. Meanwhile, I learned his routine. I knew what time he silenced his phone, which apps he used most, what emails he received. I installed a copy of WhatsApp Web when he left his laptop open one afternoon. I did it in a matter of seconds, my hands sweating and my heart pounding in my chest. When the messages appeared on my screen, I felt a mix of fear and adrenaline. The group was gone, but there was another chat with a number saved as Brittany Hotel. I read just a fragment and had to close the computer. "Sometimes I dream you're still here in room 214. His reply, "Don't say that. If you keep texting me, you're going to get me in trouble." And at the end, a photo. It wasn't explicit, but it was enough to shatter me. She was in the hotel bed with a smile that was not innocent. That night, for the first time in my life, I felt hatred, but I concealed it the next day as if nothing had happened. I hugged him, made coffee, listened to him talk about his work, and as I did, a thought chilled me to the bone. If that WhatsApp group was a manual for husbands, maybe there were more rules, more secrets, more things I had no idea about. So I decided to stay silent, at least for now, because if I was going to uncover the whole truth, I had to do it without him suspecting a thing. For the next few days, I became an unwilling actress. I laughed with Tyler, cooked with him, we went for walks on Sundays, and it was all a calculated farce. Inside, every word he said sent a pang of pain through me, but I needed to stay calm. If I wanted to understand how deep all of this went, I had to act like I knew nothing. The first blow came on an ordinary afternoon. Tyler left his laptop open in the kitchen while he was on the phone outside. I seized those seconds as if they were gold. I checked his recent downloads. Among work files, I found a document named Manual v3.pdf. My heart stopped for a second. When I opened it, what I saw looked like a bad joke, but it wasn't. It was a kind of internal guide written by the men in the group. It had sections titled, How to Lie Without Contradicting Yourself, Excuses for Trips, Phrases that Disarm Suspicion, and Secure Communication Methods. There were even levels marked as if it were a game. Beginner, Advanced, Expert, and next to each rule, a name. Among them, my husband's. Rule 23. If your wife starts to get suspicious, change your pattern of affection. Be more attentive, not colder. Signed, Tyler H. I read that line at least 10 times. It was exactly what he had been doing for the past week. He watched me more. He told me I looked beautiful, he cooked with me, he even left little notes on the table for me. And I, stupidly, had thought it was guilt for working too much. I couldn't read anymore. I closed the file and copied it to a USB drive in case he deleted it. Then I tucked it into my purse as if it were dynamite. That night, as we lay in bed, he hugged me and whispered, I don't know what I'd do without you. I just replied, I hope you never have to find out. The next morning, I decided to follow the trail of the other men in the group. I looked up Eddie, the one who had mentioned the girl from the hotel, on social media. His profile was full of photos with his wife and kids, all smiling. But among the comments, one chilled me. A woman had written, See you Thursday, handsome. And his wife had liked the comment, as if she didn't understand the context. I realized that this group wasn't just a joke among friends. It was an organized network of married men who covered for each other. A secret club that shared strategies for maintaining parallel lives. That night, while pretending to be asleep, I heard his phone vibrate. A message came in, and I saw him lift the screen under the blanket. His face lit up with the phone's glow. I couldn't read what it said, but I saw his expression. A brief, knowing smile. A smile that wasn't for me. I waited for him to fall deep asleep. Then I went to the kitchen and opened the laptop. I logged into WhatsApp web and checked the chat with Brittany. It was gone. He had deleted it. But I found a more recent one with an unnamed contact. Just a number with a Denver area code. The last message was a photo of a receipt from the Hotel Indigo dated 3 days ago, and below it, a short text. Told you I couldn't resist. My legs felt weak. He had seen her again. While I thought we were mending things, he had repeated it all. I didn't cry anymore. It was as if my body had been drained of emotions. All that remained was a cold clarity. I had to expose him, but not just him, the entire group. It took 2 days before I found the perfect way. I pretended I had forgotten my wallet and came home early from work. Tyler was still at home, sitting on the sofa, scrolling through his phone with a smile. I hid behind the doorframe and listened. He was on a video call. Bro, I swear she almost found out, he said, laughing. A voice on the phone replied amidst laughter. Haha, that's part of the training, brother. That's why the manual exists. You updated to version 4, right? Tyler asked. Of course, Eddie sent it last night. It has a new section. How to delete web copies without a trace. I almost dropped my wallet. They knew how to cover their tracks, but they didn't know I already had the previous version saved. I left without making a sound, and that night when he was asleep, I connected the USB drive to my laptop and made backups of everything. Every file, every fragment of the manual, every name. I had more than enough proof. The only thing left was the next step, deciding what to do with it. I could confront Tyler and destroy him, or I could go further. A part of me wanted all those men to feel what I felt. Betrayal, shame, fear. Another part still hesitated. I had been with Tyler for 8 years. We shared a life, a house, a dog. But when I looked at his sleeping face, all I saw were lies. Fate decided for me. The next morning, I received an email from an anonymous account. If you found the manual too, write to me. You are not alone. The sender's name was Laura M. It took me hours to reply. When I finally did, I wrote only one word. Yes. That same night, she replied. My husband is in that group too. And I have a plan. When I read that email, I thought it might be a trap. Maybe Tyler or one of the men suspected something and wanted to test me. But there was something in the way that woman wrote, "You are not alone," that made me feel understood. All day, I searched her name on social media. I found a LinkedIn profile. Laura McKenna, 34 years old, residing in Denver. Married to Eddie McKenna, the same Eddie from the group. My heart skipped a beat. She was one of their wives. I wrote to her again from a new account to protect myself. How did you know I found it? She replied quickly. I didn't. I just sent the email to the addresses saved in the group's backups. You're on the list because your husband shared files from his laptop, and one of them had your email linked. Her tone was direct, no nonsense. I've been gathering evidence for months. I'm not the only one. There are other women. But I need to know if you're willing to do something, or if you just want to know the truth. That phrase echoed in my head. Are you willing to do something, or do you just want to know the truth? I replied without thinking. I'm willing. We arranged a video call for that night. When her face appeared on the screen, I felt a mix of fear and relief. Her hair was pulled back, she had deep dark circles under her eyes, but she spoke with a firm voice. I'm not going to lie to you, she said. This is going to hurt more before it gets better. But we can't keep pretending nothing is wrong. She told me her story. She had discovered the group almost a year ago. Eddie had been one of the founders. The manual started as a joke among coworkers but had evolved into something darker. A secret community of married men sharing strategies, contacts, and in some cases, women. Not all the women know they're part of it, she said, her voice cracking. Some think they're dating single men. Others do know and use it to their advantage. I remained silent, trying to process it all. She continued. The group has over 30 members. Some are friends with each other. Others only connect through the manual. They update it constantly. There's a new version every month. I showed her the copy I had, version 3. She smiled sadly. The latest is V5. It includes a section on how to manipulate suspicions and fake evidence to use against wives. Fake evidence? I asked. Yes, she replied. If a wife confronts them, they have prepared screenshots or fake emails that simulate their wives flirting with other men. That way, they discredit them if they try to tell anyone. A knot formed in my stomach. It was a well-thought-out cold network with no easy trail to follow. Laura told me she had spoken with 5 other women, all wives of group members. They had created a private chat called Survival Manual for Wives. We want to expose them, she explained, but without putting ourselves at risk. If we act impulsively, they'll delete everything and make us look crazy. We need a synchronized strike. I asked her how she planned to do it. I have access to one of the administrators, she replied. He doesn't know that I know, but I can get into the group's shared files. If we can get more wives to cooperate, we can obtain enough evidence to expose them publicly. I couldn't sleep that night. The idea of confronting Tyler head-on terrified me, but collaborating with Laura gave me a new feeling, control. For the first time since this all began, I felt like I could reclaim some power. Over the next few days, Laura and I talked almost every night. She sent me copies of conversations, names, dates. There were members from various cities: Denver, Chicago, Seattle, Austin. Some were executives, others professors, others police officers. It was a huge network, and my husband was right at the center of it. Tyler is more important than you think, Laura told me one night. According to the records, he wrote several of the golden rules. He's one of the group's mentors. I froze. I remembered all the times I heard him say things to his friends like, There's no marriage without secrets, or absolute honesty kills peace. I always took them as jokes. Now I understood he was serious. Laura asked me to do something risky. I need you to record a conversation with him. One where you mention the group without saying you know everything, just to see how he reacts. If he gets defensive or tries to delete things, it will be another confirmation. I didn't know if I could do it, but I agreed. The moment came on a Thursday night. We were having dinner, and I pretended I'd seen a meme online about manuals for husbands. I showed him my phone and said, laughing, "Look, this is like that group you used to have. What was it called?" He looked up, his body instantly rigid. "What group?" he asked. "One I saw on your phone a while ago. Survival Manual for Husbands, I think." The silence was brutal. He watched me with a mix of surprise and calculation. That was just a chat with jokes. Nothing serious. We deleted it weeks ago. "Oh," I said, feigning indifference. It sounded funny. He tried to laugh, but it sounded forced. Yeah, guy stuff." I quickly changed the subject. After he finished eating, he locked himself in his study. A few minutes later, I heard the sound of typing, then a message being sent. I opened WhatsApp web on my laptop and saw he had written in a new group called Manual V5 Elite. His message read, "Guys, possible alert. Someone might have seen the group name. Check your backups." My body tensed. I knew Laura had access to that same group, but if they suspected, they could block her. I texted her immediately. "They know. Tyler warned them." Her reply came in seconds. "Then we have to do it now." That night, while Tyler slept, Laura and I activated the plan. She had access to the server where they stored the versions of the manual, and she leaked it on a public forum under a title that seemed harmless. "The document no husband wants you to read." She uploaded the screenshots, the names, and the complete rules. She included the list of members with their names, emails, and profile pictures, everything. By dawn, chaos had erupted. I received chain messages, calls, even an email from Tyler asking me not to believe what was circulating on the internet. I didn't answer. Laura wrote to me, "We did it. But this is just the beginning." And she was right, because in less than 24 hours, the men from the group began to fight back. And one of them knew exactly who I was. On Sunday morning, I woke up to my phone vibrating non-stop. Messages, calls, notifications, everything was blowing up at the same time. The manual had gone viral. There were screenshots on forums, videos on TikTok, even Reddit threads with thousands of comments. Women were sharing excerpts indignantly, tagging their husbands, asking if it was real. And it was. But what nobody knew was who had leaked it, at least not yet. Tyler was in the kitchen, his face pale. He was holding his phone as if it were burning him. When he saw me come downstairs, he tried to smile, but his jaw was trembling. "Did you see what's going around?" he asked in a tense voice. "Yes." I sat across from him, feigning surprise. "I can't believe men like that exist." He rubbed his face nervously. "Someone from the group leaked everything. But they're saying things that aren't true. There are made-up names." I looked him straight in the eye. "Yours is on there too." It took him a few seconds to answer. "Yes, but that doesn't mean anything. It was just an old joke, a project among friends. We never did anything." He was lying. I could see it in every word, in the way he avoided my gaze, but I pretended to believe him. I placed a hand on his arm and said, "Well, if you didn't do anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about." He nodded but didn't seem convinced. Hours later, while checking my laptop, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A new email with no visible sender. "We know what you did." The message contained only one more line. "Don't think you're getting away with this, Emma." I froze. No one outside of Laura knew I had participated. And if they knew my name, it meant they had discovered our leak. I called Laura immediately, but she didn't answer. I tried texting her, but her chat showed last seen 3 hours ago. Nothing more. The rest of the day was hell. Tyler was restless, pacing around the house, calling friends, writing frantic messages. At one point, I heard him say on the phone, "No, I don't know who it was, but if it was her, I'm going to find out." I knew he was talking about me. That night, while he slept, I went through his phone one more time. There were deleted messages, but one remained. An unknown number had written to him, "Yours is involved. We have proof." Don't worry, we'll make her talk. My stomach churned. I turned off the phone and locked myself in the bathroom. If they knew I had helped, this was no longer just a matter of marital betrayal. It was dangerous. I wrote to Laura one last time. Tyler knows. They're looking for me. 5 minutes later a reply came, but it wasn't from her. It was from the same anonymous sender as before. Laura won't be able to help you. I threw the phone to the floor. For the first time in weeks I felt real fear. 2 days passed during which Tyler barely spoke to me. He would be gone for hours saying he was fixing the problem. I pretended not to suspect anything, but every time he left, I took the opportunity to check his laptop. There were no more traces of the group, but I found something worse. A new folder with my name on it. Inside were screenshots of messages, emails, even my conversations with friends. Some were old, others recent. Tyler was spying on me. I confronted him that night. I couldn't hold it in any longer. Why do you have a file with my name on it? I blurted out. His face changed instantly. What were you doing going through my computer? He yelled. I answered a question with another. Why are you spying on me? He fell silent. Then he sighed, as if he had no strength left. Because I don't trust you, he finally said. For weeks you've been acting strange, cold. And now this thing with the manual. I know you know more than you're letting on. And what if I do? I shot back. Are you going to deny everything? Are you going to say I'm crazy just like your friends advise? Tyler looked at me with something that seemed like guilt, but it didn't last long. Emma, don't you understand? It wasn't a trap. It was a game, a private circle. We didn't hurt anyone. You didn't hurt anyone? I screamed. What about Brittany? What about the lies? The fake trips, the advice on how to cheat? That's not a game. The silence was so thick I felt like I was suffocating. Then he said something that chilled me to the bone. If you talk about this with anyone else, it won't end well for you. He didn't shout it. He said it slowly like a warning. And in that moment I understood that Tyler was no longer the man I married. He was part of something that wasn't going to let its secrets be revealed. We slept in separate beds that night. While he slept, I packed a backpack with the essentials, took the USB drive with the files, and hid it inside. At 3 a.m. I left the house. I drove for hours without a destination until I reached a motel on the outskirts of Denver. The fear was constant, as if someone were following me. I didn't know if Laura was alive, if the other women knew what had happened. I only knew one thing. If they found out I had participated, they would come for me. That morning I checked my email from the motel reception. There was a new message from an unknown address. Subject: If you want answers, come alone. The body of the message had only an address in downtown Denver and a time. 9 p.m. It didn't say who sent it, it didn't say what would happen. But something in me knew it was the only way to find out what had happened to Laura and how far this network of husbands extended. I looked at the time. I had 17 hours, and for the first time since it all began, I felt that the real danger hadn't even started yet. I didn't sleep at all. Every noise from the motel made me jump. Every shadow seemed like a car following me. But by morning I had made my decision. I was going to that address. I didn't know if it was a trap or an opportunity, but staying still was worse. I spent the day without eating, just coffee and anxiety. At 8 p.m., I parked 3 blocks away from the given location, an old dark brick building in downtown Denver. The number 1125 was painted on the metal door. There was no sign, no lights, just a rusted intercom. I stood in front of it for a few seconds before daring to press it. The buzzer sounded faint, almost like a metallic groan. No one answered. I was about to leave when the door clicked and opened on its own. I swallowed hard and went in. The hallway was lit by yellow lights, with peeling walls and a smell of dampness. I went up a narrow staircase, guided by a background hum, as if a television were on somewhere. When I reached the second floor, I saw a slightly ajar door. Emma, a voice said. It was Laura. She was standing in front of me, alive but different. Her hair was down. She had deep dark circles, and an expression that mixed exhaustion and alertness. She closed the door behind me and gestured for me to be quiet. Inside, a laptop was open with several folders on the screen. I thought they had found you, I said, almost in a whisper. Her voice was low, hurried. They got my address. I had to disappear for 2 days. Who sent you that email? I asked. She shook her head. I don't know. But if you're here, it means someone wants us together. She quickly explained what had happened since the leak. Some of the men in the group had been fired, others denied everything, but the leaders of the manual were trying to clean up their image. And one of them, according to Laura, was Tyler. Your husband is talking to lawyers. He wants to sue for collective defamation, she told me. He says someone tampered with the files. And you think he did it? I asked. Yes, she replied without hesitation. Tyler and Eddie were the first to create the manual. The others just followed their rules. My body went cold. I couldn't deny that it all fit. Tyler had always been organized, methodical, even in his lies. But there was something I didn't understand. Why did they summon me here? I asked. Laura hesitated for a second before answering. Because there's something I need to show you, and I don't want you to see it through a screen. She opened a folder on her laptop. Inside were several videos recorded by security cameras, hotel rooms, hallways, parking lots. They all had a date and time, and in one of them was Tyler. My throat closed up. He was shown entering a room with a woman. It wasn't Brittany. It was someone else. Her name is Madison, Laura said. She was Eddie's girlfriend before he married me. What? I asked, confused. Yes, she continued. When he married me, he kept seeing her in secret. Later, when the group started, Tyler and the others started dating her too. She was like a prize within the manual. I covered my mouth with my hands. That's sick. I know, Laura said. But that's not the worst part. She clicked on another video. This time the image showed a meeting in a house. Several familiar faces. Eddie, Tyler, and at least 5 other men. Tyler was talking, gesticulating, while the others listened. The audio was clear. None of them can find out. If one of them gets suspicious, we make her look crazy. We save fake messages. We have stories prepared. It's a matter of controlling the narrative. Laura paused the video. I recorded this. I found it on a camera Eddie forgot to disconnect. Why haven't you used it? I asked. Because I don't know who else is behind this. There are powerful men involved, lawyers, politicians. If I publish it alone, they'll make me disappear. Fear ran through my body, but I also felt something else. Rage. All this time, Tyler had looked me in the eyes, knowing he had ruined more than one life. We have to show this, I said. Not now, she replied. First, we need to make sure someone believes us. Laura closed the laptop and looked at me seriously. There's a journalist in Chicago who's investigating the case. His name is Daniel Cooper. I trust him. If we give him the video, he'll make it public with legal backing. But I need you to come with me tomorrow. I nodded. There was no turning back now. That night, I slept on an old mattress in the apartment. Laura checked messages in silence nonstop. At 2 a.m., I heard a knock on the door. We both froze. They knocked again, harder. Laura got up slowly and looked through the peephole. The color drained from her face. It's Eddie, she whispered. Before I could react, the door burst open. He came in with a furious look, his eyes red, and a gun in his hand. What the hell did you do, Laura? He yelled. You ruined us all. I raised my hands without moving. Laura tried to calm him down. Eddie, listen to me. I don't want to hurt you. I just want the truth to be known. The truth? He laughed bitterly. And destroying our lives is the truth? The gun was trembling in his hand. I could barely breathe. In a split second, Laura took the chance to throw the laptop at him, distracting him. The screen shattered against his chest, and the gun fell to the floor. I ran. I went down the stairs without looking back. I heard screams from above, a thud, something falling. When I reached the street, a black car was parked across the road. Inside, someone was watching me. I recognized the silhouette. Tyler. I got into the first taxi that passed and yelled, "Drive now!" As the car pulled away, I saw him start the engine and follow us from a distance. That was the last time I saw Laura. To this day, I don't know if she made it out of that building alive. But at dawn, I received an email from her address. No text, just an attached file. The complete video of Tyler and the other men, and a note at the end of the file name. Do what I couldn't. I drove until dawn. I didn't know where I was going, I just wanted to put as much distance as possible between myself and Denver. My phone was vibrating nonstop. Tyler was calling me over and over, but I didn't answer. When I finally stopped at a gas station, I opened Laura's email for the first time. The video was there. Intact. 27 minutes of recording. I watched the whole thing, my stomach in knots. Tyler appeared speaking with complete ease, as if giving instructions on how to lie was part of his job. There was laughter, jokes among them. They even toasted with beer while talking about maintaining control over their wives. There were names, dates, hotel addresses, too much evidence. For a moment I wanted to close the file and pretend I had never seen it, but every word reminded me of the nights I had spent crying in silence. I couldn't let him get away with it. I took the USB drive where I kept everything and looked up the number for Daniel Cooper, the journalist Laura had mentioned. I found his profile online along with a recent article on police corruption. I wrote him an email. I have information about a group called Survival Manual for Husbands. There is video evidence. I need to talk to you. It's urgent. 10 minutes later he replied. I'm in Boulder. I can see you today at 6 p.m. in person. I put the phone away and kept driving. I didn't know if I could trust him, but I had no other options. The drive to Boulder was long. I bought a coffee at a drive-thru but didn't drink it. My mind jumped between images of Laura, Eddie, and Tyler watching me from the black car. Every time a car got too close, my heart raced. At 6:15, I arrived at the spot Daniel had indicated, a discreet coffee shop next to an old bookstore. I went inside and looked for his face. I recognized him from the photos online. Short hair, a scruffy beard, a sharp gaze. He stood up when he saw me and extended his hand. Emma. I nodded. We sat at a table in the back. Laura told me about you a few weeks ago, he said in a low voice. She told me about the manual, but I didn't get to see her afterward. Is she okay? I swallowed hard. I don't know. The last time I saw her, her husband found her. Daniel looked down for a few seconds. I figured. But if you give me what you promised, this won't stay hidden. I handed him the USB drive. Everything is on there. Files, videos, the names, even the emails. He plugged it into his laptop and reviewed the first few minutes of the video. His expression changed instantly. God, this is huge. If I publish this, there will be consequences, but I need to verify its authenticity. Do what you have to do, I said. Just make sure the world sees it. Daniel promised he would take security measures, that he would save copies on several servers and contact a lawyer before releasing it. He gave me a card with a private number. If anything happens, call me. Don't answer anyone else. When I left the coffee shop, I felt like I could finally breathe, but that feeling didn't last long. The sun was already setting. When I got in my car, I started the engine, and as I looked in the mirror, I saw it. A black sedan parked across the street, the same model Tyler drove. I tried to convince myself it was a coincidence, but when I turned at the next corner, the sedan did the same. I pressed the accelerator. For the next 20 minutes, I drove aimlessly, weaving through streets until I managed to lose him. I took refuge in a cheap motel on the outskirts. As I was walking up the stairs to my room, my phone vibrated. A new message, no sender. You think you can destroy us? I still have something that belongs to you. It didn't say his name, but I knew who it was. Tyler. I entered the room and closed the curtains. When I opened my laptop, I saw the camera was on, even though I hadn't activated it. A cold sweat ran down my body. I immediately turned it off and covered it with tape. The next message arrived a minute later. Don't run, Emma. I don't want to hurt you. Let's just talk. I blocked him. But 5 minutes later, another message came from a different number. If you hand over the video, I'll make sure Laura disappears. For real. I froze. Was she alive or was it just an empty threat? I didn't reply. I turned off the phone and lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting to hear footsteps outside. Nothing, just silence. The next morning, I called Daniel from a payphone. I've received threats, I told him. They say Laura is still alive. He was silent for a few seconds. Don't move. The material is already in the hands of a lawyer. If they try anything, they won't be able to stop the publication. When will it be released? I asked. Tonight, as soon as we verify everything. I hung up, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of hope. That night at 10 p.m., I turned on the motel TV. The local news interrupted its regular broadcast with a headline on the screen. Massive leak reveals network of married men who manipulated and spied on their wives. I recognized Daniel's voice narrating the facts. They showed clips from the video, the names of several people involved, and parts of the manual's rules. My heart was pounding. Tyler was among those mentioned. The report lasted only 5 minutes, but it was enough to change everything. Social media exploded. There were arrests, firings, lawsuits. I cried alone in front of the television, not out of sadness, but from a strange mix of relief and exhaustion. I thought it was all over until I saw the last scene of the report. A blurry image of a woman getting out of a car in Denver. The announcer said, "One of the anonymous collaborators who helped uncover the case has been missing for 3 days." It was Laura. The motel phone rang right after. I stared at it for a few seconds before answering. "Emma." It was Daniel's voice, agitated. "Don't go back to your house." "What? Why?" "Tyler disappeared this afternoon. He's not among those arrested. And someone forced the lock on my office an hour ago." I couldn't breathe. "Where are you now?" I asked. "In a safe place. But I don't know for how much longer." The call cut off. I was left alone with the hum of the television in the background and the feeling that nothing was really over. Because if Tyler was still free, so was the manual. I don't know how long I sat in front of the television after that call, minutes, maybe hours. The sound of the news report continued in the background, but my mind was elsewhere. Tyler was free. Daniel had been attacked, and Laura was probably no longer alive. The euphoria of having revealed the truth vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Now I was the target. I checked my things, the USB drive, my wallet, some cash. I left the phone on the bed. I couldn't use it anymore. I knew Tyler could track it. I left the motel on foot, wearing a cap and an old jacket. The early morning air cut my face, but I didn't stop. I walked to the bus station. I bought a ticket in cash to Salt Lake City, the first destination I found that was leaving in less than an hour. While I waited, I heard 2 men talking nearby. "Did you see that video of the manual?" one said. "My wife won't stop sending me memes about it." "Yeah, bro, they ruined a lot of guys' lives." I had to bite my lip to keep from intervening. They didn't know the woman they were talking about was sitting 6 feet away from them. The bus arrived, and I sat in the last seat near the window. I watched the lights of Boulder disappear as the vehicle hit the highway. For the first time in weeks, I cried without fear, but the calm didn't last long. Midway through the journey, the driver announced a technical stop at a gas station. We all got off. I went to the restroom, and when I came out, I saw a black car parked next to the Busa sedan identical to Tyler's. My body froze. I looked around, searching for any sign that it was just paranoia. But when I got back on the bus, I saw a figure walking towards the entrance hall, wearing a cap and a dark coat. I didn't wait to confirm if it was him. I ran to the back door of the vehicle and slipped out before it started moving. I sprinted across the parking lot to a side alley. My breathing was too loud in the silence of the night. I hid behind some dumpsters and waited. I heard footsteps. A low, familiar voice. "Emma, I know you're close. I just want to talk." I closed my eyes. It was Tyler. His tone was calm, almost sweet, the same one he used when he convinced me everything was fine. "It doesn't have to end like this," he said. "Give it to me, and I'll leave you alone." Give it to me. He meant the evidence, the video, but I didn't have it anymore. The only thing left with me was Daniel's card, soaked with sweat in my pocket. The footsteps got closer. I held my breath until I heard a car start and drive away. I waited another 10 minutes before daring to come out. The bus was gone. I walked for an hour until I reached an empty highway. Finally, a cargo truck stopped. The driver, an older man with a kind face, looked at me with concern. "Everything all right, miss?" "I just need to get anywhere far from here," I replied. "Hop in." He didn't ask any more questions. I slept for half the journey. When I woke up, we were on the outskirts of Cheyenne, Wyoming. I checked into a cheap motel using a fake name, Jessica Moore. I bought a new phone and saved only one number, Daniel's. I didn't call right away. I was afraid it would be dangerous for both of us. For the next few days, I lived like a ghost. I only went out at night, paid in cash, spoke to no one. Every time I heard an engine approach, I felt my stomach clench. The scandal of the manual continued to grow. The news talked about arrests, lawsuits, and theories about who had leaked the videos. Some mentioned an anonymous female source. I knew they were talking about me. One night, while watching a local newscast, a blurry image captured by security cameras appeared. A woman running through an alley in Denver. The anchor said, "Unofficial sources claim it could be Laura McKenna, still missing." On reflex, I turned off the television. I no longer knew if I wanted to know the truth or stay alive. 3 days later, Daniel called me from a different number. His voice sounded exhausted. "I'm out of the state. I can't talk for long, but listen to me. The case is going to escalate. There are federal agents involved." Agents? Why? Because the group didn't just share infidelities. We found records of hidden cameras, blackmail, and offshore bank accounts. It wasn't just a manual, Emma. It was a control network. My skin went cold. And Tyler. They haven't found him yet, but all trails point to him being one of the founders. Silence. Daniel continued. "You have to stay hidden for now. They're going to look for you. Don't trust anyone." Before he hung up, I asked him something that had been tormenting me since Denver. "Is Laura alive?" He took a long time to answer. "I don't know, but someone used her account last night. They sent a message with your name." My heart sank. What did the message say? Just one sentence. "It's not over yet." That night I didn't sleep. I packed the few things I had and prepared to keep moving. Before leaving, I checked the new phone. I had an unread email, no visible sender. The subject, version 6.0. I opened the message with trembling hands. Inside was an attached file, manual_v6.pdf. I downloaded it and opened it. The document began with a new line. Rule number 1. If one of them betrays you, make sure no one believes her version. And below, in capital letters, a single name, Emma Harrison. I felt a shiver run down my spine. I was no longer just a witness, I was part of the manual. I stared at that file as if mesmerized. My name, written there in capital letters, Emma Harrison. It was official. They had made me part of the game. The document was 30 pages long. The first few were the same as the previous versions, but from page 15 onward, everything changed. There were instructions on how to discredit a woman who threatened the group's stability. There were examples of fake messages, supposed evidence of infidelity, manipulated recordings, and phrases that seemed taken from a psychological warfare manual. And among those phrases, one stood out, underlined. Turn the threat into the villain. Make her story sound so crazy that no one believes her. I slammed the laptop shut. This was no longer just revenge. It was an organized campaign to destroy me. I turned off the light in the room and sat in the darkness, trembling. I had gone from being a victim to an enemy, and there were many of them. The next morning, I went down to the motel lobby to pay for another night, but the receptionist looked at me strangely. "Everything okay, Mrs. Harrison?" he asked. I froze. I had never given him my real name. "Excuse me. The guy from the security office asked for you. Said he was your husband, that you registered under a different name by mistake." I didn't wait to hear more. I ran out the back door of the building, my backpack slung over one shoulder. I had no idea how long it had been since Tyler tracked me down, but he was here. I crossed 2 streets and ducked into a laundromat. The noise of the machines masked the pounding of my heart. From my pocket, I pulled out my phone and typed a quick message to Daniel. "They found me. I'm in Cheyenne. Need help." I got no response. I waited 10 minutes, 15, 20, nothing. Just the hum of the dryers and the smell of detergent. Then a man walked in. He was wearing a cap and dark sunglasses, and even though I couldn't see his face, I recognized his posture. Tyler. I hid behind a row of metal baskets. He walked slowly down the central aisle, looking between the machines. "Emma, I don't want to hurt you." His voice was low, almost sad. "I just want us to talk, for you to listen to me." This whole thing got out of control. I tried to control my breathing. My hands were sweating so much the phone almost slipped. I took a step back, and one of the laundry carts hit the wall. The sound was like a gunshot. Tyler spun around immediately. "There you are." I took off running. He followed, shouting my name. I burst through the emergency exit and onto the street. The cold air hit my face, but I didn't stop. I ran across the avenue dodging cars. I could hear his voice behind me getting closer. As I turned the corner, a car screeched to a halt in front of me. Daniel got out of the driver's seat. "Get in," he yelled. I jumped in without thinking. The car took off so fast the tires squealed. In the rearview mirror I saw Tyler standing on the sidewalk, watching us drive away. For the first few minutes we said nothing. I could barely breathe. Daniel glanced at me. "Did he follow you from the motel?" I nodded. "They have everything under control. They even know what name I register under." He gripped the steering wheel. I knew they were going to try something. Since the report came out, several fake accounts have been circulating stories about you. They're saying you made it all up out of jealousy, that you faked the videos. That's a lie. I know, but it doesn't matter what we know. It matters what people believe. He showed me his phone. There were dozens of posts, all with my photo, my name, even messages I had never written. "They're doing exactly what the manual says," I whispered. "Exactly. They're following version 6.0. Daniel explained that he had managed to speak with a federal agent who was interested in the case, but to protect me, they needed more than just videos. They needed proof connecting the group's money to their activities. If we get that, it's over. No one will be able to cover for them." "And where is that proof?" I asked. Daniel hesitated before answering. "Laura had it." I felt my stomach tighten. "Laura is dead." "Not exactly." He looked me in the eyes, and in that moment, I understood there was something he hadn't told me. 3 days ago, I received a package with no return address, he continued. It came from a courier company in Denver. Inside was a hard drive. The label said, "If something happens to me, give this to Emma." He pulled it out of his backpack and showed it to me. I haven't opened it. I don't know what's on it, but if Laura sent it, it must be important. I held it in my hands. It felt heavier than I imagined, as if it carried more than just data. It carried her last will. "So what now?" I asked. "We're going to Montana. I have a contact who can analyze this without leaving a trace." Before starting the car, Daniel looked in the rearview mirror. "Don't look back, Emma. If they catch you, no one else will be able to tell what happened." The drive took over 10 hours. I slept in fits and starts. Every time I saw a dark car behind us, I thought it was Tyler. We arrived at a small, abandoned workshop on the outskirts of Billings. A man in his 50s was waiting for us, thin, with a beard and thick glasses. "Name's Ray," he said. Daniel told me the basics. He connected the hard drive to his computer. For nearly an hour no one spoke. The only sound was the clicking of the keyboard. Finally Ray turned to us. "This isn't just a group of cheating husbands. It's a full-blown private surveillance network. They have access to cameras, bank records, and even contracts with security firms." Daniel frowned. "Contracts? With whom?" "Companies that launder money. Look at this." Ray opened a folder with hundreds of PDF files, all with the survival manual logo. But the most disturbing thing was the header on one of them. Project MMA, Digital Narrative Control. My name. Again. It was a detailed plan to fabricate a story about me. Fake emails, invented psychiatric diagnoses, even a supposed pending arrest warrant. They were destroying me in real time. Ray looked at us seriously. "If this goes public, powerful people are going to fall. But they have resources. If they already know you have this, they'll hunt you down." Daniel looked at me. "Then we'll have to beat them to it." We left the workshop at dawn. As the sun rose over the mountains, I felt a mix of fear and determination. I couldn't keep running. If they wanted to turn me into the villain, I was going to give them something to fear. I clutched Laura's USB drive in my pocket and said to Daniel, "We're publishing everything. Not just the video. Everything." He nodded. "Then get ready, because when we do this, there's no turning back." That morning the air in Montana was freezing, but inside I was burning. My fear had turned into a kind of quiet fury, as if I had nothing left to lose. Daniel noticed. "You don't have to do it yourself," he said, checking his laptop. "I can send the files and make you disappear." I shook my head. "No. If I publish this myself under my name, they can't say it was an anonymous fabrication. They need to see my face." Let them know who destroyed their damn manual. We spent the rest of the day in Ray's workshop, preparing the publication. There were too many files. Videos, screenshots, contracts, payment lists, and emails between the group's leaders. Ray created an encrypted copy that would automatically upload to multiple servers if anything happened to us. We called it Operation Indigo, in memory of the hotel where it all began. Once this is activated, there's no stopping it, Ray warned. That's what we want, I replied. Daniel arranged an exclusive interview with an international media outlet. I would be the voice of the testimony. The problem was getting to the broadcast station without being tracked. Since we discovered Project Emma, we knew I was being watched. We'll switch cars every 2 hours, Daniel said. And no cell phones. We left that night with the hard drive hidden inside a metal box. Midway through the journey at a gas station, I saw something that made my heart stop. A poster with my face on it. Above it, it said Person of Interest in Federal Investigation, with the FBI seal. Daniel ripped the poster off the wall. It's fake, he said. I just spoke with the agent on the case. There's no warrant. This is coming from them. The group. They were already using their contacts to engineer my downfall. We drove on back roads until we reached a small town called Livingston. There, we checked into a rented cabin under another name. The plan was simple. Daniel would send the files to his media contact, and at the same time, Ray would trigger the automatic online release. I would record my testimony on video, a public confession. I spent hours writing what I was going to say. I didn't want to sound like a helpless victim, but like someone who had survived. When I finished, Daniel set up a camera in front of me and nodded. Whenever you're ready. I took a deep breath and began. My name is Emma Harrison. I am the wife of Tyler Harrison, one of the founders of the group, known as the Survival Manual for Husbands. What started as a chat among friends became an organized network of manipulation, blackmail, and abuse. For months I hid because I feared for my life. But not anymore. Today you will know who they are and what they have done. My voice trembled at first, but it grew steady as I spoke. I told them everything. The discovery of the group, the rules, the betrayal, Laura, the videos, the chase. When I finished, Daniel's eyes were moist. That was perfect, he said. Tomorrow the world will know who you are. I almost slept that night. Almost. At 3 a.m. Ray woke us up abruptly. We have company. Through the window we saw 2 SUVs parked at the end of the dirt road. Lights off, engines running. Police? I asked. No, Ray said. Them. Daniel turned off all the lights. Take the hard drive, Emma. Let's go out the back. We slipped out the back of the cabin, crossing a frozen field. The SUVs moved slowly toward the main entrance. I heard a male voice shout, Emma, don't hurt yourself. We just want to talk. It was Tyler again, that fake, almost friendly tone. Daniel grabbed my arm. Run. Don't stop until you reach the woods. I'll distract them. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Trust me. Before I could answer, he turned and ran toward the opposite road, throwing a rock at one of the SUVs. The sound drew the men's attention. I ran towards the woods. The shouts mixed with the sound of the engine and the crunching of branches under my feet. I didn't know where I was going. I just kept running, the hard drive pressed against my chest inside my jacket. Behind me I heard gunshots. I don't know how much time passed before silence returned. I hid under a fallen tree and waited. The lights of the SUVs moved around for a while longer, then they left. When dawn broke, I slowly made my way back to the cabin. It was empty. Daniel wasn't there. Neither was Ray. The only thing I found was the laptop still on with the window open. A countdown timer. 9 minutes and 42 seconds. 9 minutes and 41 seconds. It was the automatic release. Ray had activated it. I had less than 10 minutes to decide. I could let it all be published and disappear forever, or I could stop it, save Daniel if he was still alive, and negotiate my way out. I stared at the screen. I thought of Laura, of the women who had been humiliated, watched, silenced, of how they always managed to get away with it. And then I knew what I had to do. I pressed enter. Within minutes, servers all over the world began receiving copies of the file. Survival Manual version 6.0 Project, EMMA. It included everything: the evidence, the names, the contracts, the videos, the media manipulation plans. Nothing could stop it. In less than an hour, it was a global trend. The news was talking about the secret network of husbands that had operated for years under a legal facade. There were arrests in several cities, and among the first names mentioned was Tyler Harrison's. But the story didn't end there. The next day I received a new email. No sender, no subject, just one line. Congratulations, Emma. You have completed the final rule of the manual. Survive. I didn't know if it was sent by Tyler, Ray, Daniel, or someone else. I only know that for the first time in a long time I didn't feel fear. I closed the email and looked at my reflection in the window of the train carrying me north. I didn't know where I was going, but it didn't matter. I was no longer a victim. I was living proof that even the best-kept secrets eventually come to light. The train moved slowly, cutting through the morning fog. 3 days had passed since the leak, 3 days since my name had appeared on every news channel in the country, and 3 days since I learned what it was like to live without a past. No one knew where I was. The FBI was looking for me, the media was looking for me, and Tyler, if he was still alive, was looking for me too. But I was no longer Emma Harrison. The train ticket said Megan Lewis. New name, new beginning. I opened a newspaper I found on the seat next to me. The headline read, Male Manipulation Network, 14 suspects arrested, including Tyler Harrison and Edward McKenna. I read the full article. Tyler had been arrested on the outskirts of Boise, trying to escape with false documents and over $200,000 in cash. Eddie was arrested in Denver, linked to the disappearance of his wife, Laura. My heart tightened. It didn't say if they had found her, only missing. I put the paper aside. I told myself I couldn't keep looking back. But then my phone vibrated. An unknown number. I answered. Emma. The voice was hoarse, tired, but unmistakable. Daniel. God, you're alive. Barely. They got me, but I managed to get out of the woods. The police found the cabin later. Ray is gone. I covered my mouth with my hand. I thought they killed you. They couldn't. Not yet. His tone worried me. What does that mean? It means the manual didn't end with the leak. The noise of the train seemed to fade. Explain. They found another folder on the servers, Emma. Something Ray didn't see. It's called the AIR Protocol. What is it? A plan to rebuild the group under a new name with new members. They were already recruiting before everything blew up. I closed my eyes. It can't be. It can. And it's already started. Silence. I could hear my own breathing on the other end of the line. Daniel continued. I need your help. No one else understands how they think. But if you want to disappear, I'll understand. I thought about everything we had been through, about Laura, about the other wives, about the laughter of those men when they thought no one would ever stop them. And I knew I couldn't run. Not yet. Tell me what you need, I said. We met 2 days later in a coffee shop in Missoula. Daniel had bandages on his arm and an exhausted expression, but his eyes were still lit with fire. The FBI is going to use the information to trace the international funds, he explained. But there's something they can't do. Infiltrate the new group. And you think I can? You're the only one they know well enough to both fear and respect. I stared at him. Part of me wanted to scream that he was crazy, but a deeper part felt this was the closure I needed. Do you have any idea where they started again? Daniel nodded. Texas. They're using a private forum under a different name. The Survivors. The name sent a chill down my spine. The echo of the email I received after the leak. You have completed the final rule. Survive. It took weeks before we found a way in. Daniel gained access to the forum using a fake identity. I was to be his reference. A repentant woman who wanted to understand the men's side. A disgusting role, but a necessary one. The first messages were the same as in the old group. Jokes, memes, tips on keeping the peace with wives. But then the same keywords appeared, the same structures, the same levels. It was the manual all over again. Only now every post ended with a signature. L. My heart froze. I messaged Daniel immediately. She's alive. But he didn't reply. That night, as I read more messages on the forum, I received a direct one. Hello, Emma. My stomach dropped. Laura. I've been waiting for you. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Where are you? I thought Eddie killed you. He didn't. But he forced me to fake my death. Now they're following me. You're running the new group. Running is not the right word. I'm reforming it. This time not to hide them, but to expose them from the inside. I stared at the screen not knowing what to believe. Can I trust you? I wrote. Trust the objective. Not me. And the chat closed. I told Daniel the next day. He just nodded. If she's alive and on the inside, we have an advantage. But also a risk. If they find her out, they'll kill her. What if she's not on our side anymore? I asked. Daniel looked at me for a long moment. Then all of this was for nothing. That night I went back to the forum. There was a new announcement from L. Final meeting. Founding members only. Denver. September 14th. Denver. The same place where it all began. Daniel wanted to go alone, but I wouldn't let him. If Laura is alive, I want to see her, I said. The meeting was in an abandoned warehouse in the suburbs. We arrived before the others and hid behind a pillar. One by one, the men started arriving. Some familiar faces, the same ones from the videos, now with beards, caps, and fear in their eyes. And then she appeared. Laura. Dressed in black, her hair shorter, her gaze hard. She wasn't the same woman I met in that Denver apartment. She was someone else. She stood before them and spoke with a firm voice. Welcome. This is the end of the manual. The men looked at each other, confused. One of them, the tallest, stepped forward. The end? I thought this was the reboot. Laura pulled a device from her pocket and held it up. No. This is the final confession. In a split second, red lights began to flash all over the ceiling. Cameras, microphones. Recording everything. Daniel and I stepped out from our hiding place. The men startled. Some tried to run, but it was too late. Federal agents burst through the doors in a matter of seconds. In the midst of the chaos, Laura looked at me. For an instant, she smiled. I told you it wasn't over. Then they pushed her to the ground and handcuffed her along with the others. Hours later, at the police station, Daniel explained that Laura had been collaborating with the authorities from the beginning. She had faked her death to infiltrate the remnants of the group and gather definitive evidence. It wouldn't have worked without you, he told me. And without her, I'd be dead. Today, I'm writing this from a place where no one knows me. The case was officially closed 2 months ago. 103 arrests, 12 convictions, and an entire system brought down by what started as a simple WhatsApp group. Sometimes I wonder if it was worth losing everything to get here. But then I remember the faces of those women, the ones who wrote to me after the leak, thanking me for giving them the courage to speak up. And I know it was, because surviving is no longer about hiding. It's about telling the truth, even when no one wants to hear it.